Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, today we are going to be learning how to make this individual fringe that you can see in this video. This is just a model. Okay, it's not even her size. I just asked her to wear it for video. Okay, so this is the crystal bead size 4 that I'll be using for this tutorial. Okay, you can see I've already beaded the sleeve here. Okay, so this is the bodice. I'll still add my appliques on it. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's delve right in. Okay, so I'm just flipping the skirt so you can see how the lining is, because I'll be careful enough not to pick the lining. Okay, so we just want to pick the lace. We want to pick the bead on the lace and the face lining, that's the doll face that is just against the lace. Okay, so you can see I'd already done one, and I'm going to show you how I achieved that. Okay, so we need an invisible thread. This is how your invisible thread comes. It's usually very thin. Some people call it nylon thread. We need your beading needle. Okay, this needle is usually very tiny. I don't know if you can see it. This is the back of the needle. I can't really remember the size of this needle, but it's usually very tiny. You can just take a picture to go to the market with. Okay, so I'm fixing my thread into my needle eye. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. You know, these things are very tiny, and I decided to use the practical items for this tutorial instead of using something different. Okay, so you can see the outcome. So one thing with this individual fringe, you don't make the thread the same length. One is going to be longer than the other. Okay, you don't need double threading, you just need one. You'll see how we are going to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to pick one tiny bead there, one sand bead on my fabric. You can see how I pulled out the lining so that I don't pick the bolts. Okay, so I'm just going to pass my thread into the sand bead, picking just a little piece of my fabric. Okay, and I'm passing my thread through it, and I'm going to remain just a little of the thread on the other side, and I'm going to give it a knot, a very strong knot, like multiple times, like 10 times. Okay, so I just cut off the other end of the thread, right? Okay, so this is our crystal bead on the strands. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to remove the beads from the strand. I'm just going to pass my needle into the strand. This way it is easier, it is faster, and it is not messy. Okay, because trying to pick the beads one by one from a plate where it is already scattered, it usually consumes more time than this method. I prefer this method anytime for my individual fringe, except of course the bead is not on strands. You understand? You know that there are some beads that come in a pack. Okay, so I'm just passing my needle into my beads, my crystal beads, while on the strand. I'm going to do this until I get the desired length. For this project, for this dress, I used 8 inches and 7 inches. So I actually started with 8 inches for the line, that's for the lower line. for the fringe on the lower line, I used 8 inches, 8 inches individual fringe, but as I was going up, I used 7 inches, and I used one whole pack for this dress. Okay, I exhausted the one pack. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to make sure that the beads now are transferred into my beading thread. You can see just from the fishing line, from the strands of the crystal bead, I'm just moving it into my beading thread. Okay, and you can see how it's coming out. I'm just going to use the fringe that I'd already done. I'm just going to use it to cross check the length, if I've gotten the desired length that I want. And you can see that I still need more beads. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I will unravel another crystal bead on the strand, but before doing that, I'm going to cut off the other strand that I've already used, because you don't want so much strand getting into the way, because all these fishing lines are very, very tiny, and you don't want to have entanglements all over. Okay, you don't want knots all over. So I just unraveled that strand, and I'm using my needle to pass, just the way I explained earlier. I'm passing my needle into the crystal bead while it's on the strand. Okay, to make sure that I get as much as I want to complete the length. Okay, so it is very easy. The only issue that you may have while making your individual fringe is that your thread may you may have knots from your thread while it's tangling. That may be the only issue. But if you know how to work your way very well with threads and needle, trust me, this is going to be a seamless process. Okay, is not difficult at all. And if you are not the type that knows how to work with long threads, just avoid it, because you are going to be frustrated. Just use short threads, especially if you are a beginner. Okay, so this is my tape, and I'm checking the length of the first one I did is 8 inches, right? So I want to confirm if this second one that I'm doing, if it is also 8 inches, or if I need to reduce it. So you can see that it is more than what I need. Okay, so I'm just going to remove these beads that I don't need. And how am I going to do that? I will just pass it back to my needle, to where my needle is. Like, I'm just going to take it back. Okay, so you can see how I'm achieving that. You can see how I'm doing that. It's not so difficult. Okay, so once I've removed the beads that are not needed, because you want your fringe to be the same length, you don't want to do a job that is going to look like tacky, and you want everything to be the same length. So I just kept that aside, and now I'm going to pass my needle back. This is now to secure the fringe. What I did not start from the last bead that is on that fringe. I removed the last bead. You can see that last bead, I shifted it, because that's just going to serve as my stopper. So I'm taking it back. I just left the last bead, and I'm taking my needle back into my my beading needle, my beading thread, that's into the fringe that I already done, but it's not yet a fringe, right? Because I'm still working on it. Okay, so it's just like a reversal, because I'm going to do this till I get to the root, to where I picked it from the skirt. Okay, so I'm just working my way down to where I started. I'm working my way down to the root. Okay, if there's any part that you didn't really understand or it's not really clear, you can just pause the video, go back and watch closely, and you're going to understand. Trust me, making individual fringe is very easy, and it can be time consuming. Okay, I had just, let's say, I had just 3 day a week to get this dress ready, but I started working on it 3 days because I couldn't get the materials on time. So it was not an easy one, but I was able to meet up. Okay, so you can see I put my finger on the last bead, just to make sure that I don't have any thread, any spacing with in between the fringe. Okay, this is me just making sure that everything is tight. You don't want loose fringe, you want everything to be tight. So I'm going to pass my needle back on that same bead that I started with. This is to create a knot to secure the bead. Now, if your individual fringe is close to each other, if you want the fringes to be close to each other, you don't necessarily have to make a knot here. Like, you can just pass the thread into the clothes. Okay, that's why there is need for that lining. See, when I flip the clothes, you can just pass it into the clothes between the face lining and the one underneath, and you bring it out on exactly where you want the fringe to start again, and you start beading another one. But the spacing in this project is much, so I was tying it individually till I got to the place where I wanted the spacing to be a bit close. So I started passing the thread, so you can see me tying the knot. Watch how I'm tying the knot. Okay, I just pass my needle into the clothes, create a little hole, and pass the needle over it like multiple times, like 10 times, because you don't want to do this strenuous job and at the end of the day have your beads unravel. That would just that would just ruin the whole thing. Okay, so you can see how I am doing this. This is all in the bid to secure my fringe, so that I have a beautiful job at the end of the day. Okay, so I've done that and is tight enough, so I'm just going to cut off the thread, and you can see how my individual fringe is coming out. You can see how it's looking already. Okay, so by the time I'm done with this, I mean, even in the process already, you can already see that it is giving, it's going to give what it should give. Okay, so at this point we're already attacking the applique on the upper bodies, and we're also beading, filling up the places that needed the beaded fringe. Okay, so it was not an easy job, but we couldn't wait for the finished look. Okay, so at the end of the day, my beautiful client got her dress, and she was so happy. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye bye.